Think of the confidence and trust conveyed in these words by Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. They answered and said to the king, "O Nebuchadnezzar, we have no need to answer you in this matter. If that's the case, our God whom we serve is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace. And he will deliver us from your hand, O king. But if not, let it be known to you, O king, that we do not serve your gods, nor will we worship the golden image that you've set up." What a contrast. Nebuchadnezzar, you have to. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, no, we're free. We don't have to do what you say. One of the states of mind the evil spirits of hell love to inspire us is one in which we feel like we have no option but to do something undesirable. Like Nebuchadnezzar threatening Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they can assert their view like they have all power. They want us to believe something like ultimate destruction will be the inevitable result of failing to follow their dictates. But the truth is, we do have other choices we can make. Choices that in the long run provide a much happier and more useful life. Teachings for the new church present the idea that Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon has a similar meaning to the people who built the Tower of Babel. As stated in Apocalypse Explained, Babylon or Babel means the church consisting of those who by means of holy things of the church strive to gain dominion over the whole world, and this by dominion over people's souls, claiming to themselves authority to save whomsoever they will, and these finally seek dominion over heaven and hell and make it their own. And to this end, they draw and transfer to themselves all the Lord's authority as if it had been given to them by him. It's an incredible perversion of religion to take the Lord's authority to oneself. We might wonder, how could somebody possibly get to this corrupt state? But this passage goes on to make an observation that can cause us to pause in our assessment of this state of corruption. It states, "The church consisting of those who by means of the holy things of the church strive to gain dominion is very different in the beginning from what it becomes in process of time. In the beginning, they are, as it were, in zeal for the Lord, for the Word, for love and faith, and especially for people's salvation. But in that zeal, the fire of domineering lies hidden, and in process of time, as dominion increases, it breaks forth." Clearly, a state of mind that starts with what seems like a laudable goal, apparently wanting good things for others, if it seeks control as its means, will over time lead to something incredibly corrupt. This is true of a parent who seeks undesirable control, a spouse who does it, any person in a leadership position or trying to influence others who primarily wants to control can fall prey to this. Anytime a person starts to think that it's vital that someone else make the right choice, it's vital that they absolutely avoid some danger, or even that it's crucial that others see things a certain way, that person is setting up, as it were, an idol, golden in their mind, that others should bow down to. When Nebuchadnezzar had all the many court officials gathered to worship his golden idol, they were told they would hear the sound of horn, flute, harp, lyre, and psaltery in symphony with all kinds of music. This was the signal that they should bow down to worship the golden idol. This symphony of many instruments reflects the manipulation of many motivations that people can use when they try and dominate others. They can appeal to pride, personal benefit, to concern for reputation. They can appeal to insecurities or to a sense of superiority. They can appeal to self-interest or to natural generosity. They can appeal to risks, loss, disapproval, isolation. Anything is fair game if the goal seems important enough to the person. The ultimate threat in this story for not worshiping the idol was complete destruction. For us, this is often less focused on the loss of our natural lives, but instead the loss of something that we've come to care about. In a religious context, it can be the threat of eternal damnation in hell for failing to do what a human being says you should. Can you see how someone could get to this state of mind because they were so committed to getting someone else to think, speak, and act in a certain way? Many of us are familiar with the faulty concept that the end justifies the means. In this context, if you're firmly and inflexibly committed to a goal, that goal becomes a golden idol that you absolutely expect others to worship. Particularly if you think some idea or practice is important for the spiritual welfare of the church and the people attending it. Then you can be prey to the idea that any means to accomplish this goal is appropriate and should be pursued. While some people can be bullied or coerced into believing, saying, and doing certain things, the Lord offers us the radical freedom to reject this attempted coercion. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego's response to Nebuchadnezzar is an incredibly powerful example of how this freedom of choice can take place. When Nebuchadnezzar learned these three men had not obeyed his commands, he raged at them, repeating his demand and the consequence of disobeying. It's possible in this situation to picture Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego could have been insulting in their reply, but they weren't. Their words seemed to reflect a calm, even respectful response. They said they believed in a God who could save them. But even if God didn't save them, they were not going to bow down to Nebuchadnezzar's idol. He said, "You have to." They said, "No, we don't." Nebuchadnezzar responded by having them thrown into an impossibly hot furnace. But he rapidly recognized he had no power to harm them. In the midst of that furnace, they were not alone. The Lord was with them, and they could emerge without the least harm to themselves or their clothing. One of the powerful qualities that the Lord has instilled in us as human beings is a desire for inner spiritual freedom. We have a deeply ingrained desire to resist being compelled by outside forces. So the teachings of the new church have the following powerful statement about human nature. This is from the Arcana Celestia. The Lord in no way compels anyone. No one who is compelled to think that which is true and do that which is good is reformed, but instead thinks all the more what is false and wills all the more what is evil. This is so with all compulsion, as may also become clear from all the experiences and lessons of life. With skill and determination, use of propaganda, manipulation, sometimes people can be led into thinking, saying, and doing certain things. A person making this effort may think that it's for the welfare, natural or spiritual, of the person who's being manipulated. In reality, it is not, as is stated in the following teaching for the new church. A person is not to put pressure on another or play on his emotions to get him to corroborate truths known to oneself, but should listen to and accept his responses as they are in his own mind. For those who put pressure on another or play on his emotions to get him to corroborate truths known to themselves, make this other person think or speak not from himself, but from them. And when anyone thinks and speaks from another, the truths with him are thrown into disorder, nor is he improved by this, unless he's the kind of person who is still ignorant of those truths. While the Lord calls us to have a deeply respectful approach to other people's spiritual freedom, it does not mean we have to passively allow them to do whatever they want. We can provide consequences for saying and doing things that have been deemed destructive or harmful. If someone's determined to transgress the established order of speech and act, they're free to do it, and in so choosing, they're choosing the consequence. The freedom the Lord offers us includes the freedom to choose to be better than part of our mind inclines to. This is sometimes called self-compulsion. As the second lesson stated today, the internal level of thought can be compelled by love and a fear of losing that love. Fear of God in its true sense is just that. To be compelled by love and a fear of losing it is to compel oneself. To compel oneself is not contrary to one's freedom and rationality. The Lord offers us the incredible power to stand up for what's true and good. This is a spiritual gift given to those who have grown to deeply love what is good and true. Those who receive this gift of rational goodness are incredible forces in this world, as stated in the following passage. Rational goodness never fights, no matter how much it's assailed, because it's gentle and mild, long-suffering and yielding, for its nature is that of love and mercy. But although it does not fight, it nevertheless conquers all. It does not even think of combat, nor does it glory in victory. It's of this nature because it is divine and is of itself immune to harm. Think of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in the fiery furnace, immune from harm, strong in their convictions, willing to stand up to Nebuchadnezzar, and protected by the Lord. And we know this doesn't mean that the outside part of our life is going to go fine. We can be harmed by events. Bad things can happen to us. And yet, the promise is, as we try to invite the Lord into our life, there will be the possibility of inner peace, an inner peace that cannot be harmed because of the Lord's presence. May each of us seek this strength from the Lord's presence in our lives. And may we also dedicate ourselves to turn away from the state of mind represented by Nebuchadnezzar that seeks to control others and strives to make them do what we want, no matter what. Amen.